Victoria 3 is the newest Paradox game that is coming out, and I'm pretty fucking hyped for it. And I think that the majority of Paradox fans should be too. Now, there have been people who aren't happy about the war system and how the maps look, which is fair, but I think the rest of the game seems really incredible. To truly understand why this game seems so incredible, you have to go all the way back to 2010, when Victoria 2 first released. And my god, is this game fun. But it does not hold up at all compared to modern day grand strategy games. I mean, the economy aspect is incredibly complicated and hard to understand. I would wager that a lot of people who played Victoria 2 didn't really truly understand the whole economy aspect, and you don't have to have fun, but it's just really complicated. I thought Warfare was okay. It works in the early game, but as the armies got bigger and bigger and you had more fronts and you had to micromanage more and more, it just became really unfun. Not to mention how until the first DLC came out, it was basically unplayable. They even had Yellow Prussia. Like, fucking look at this. It looks awful. Why would you ever make Prussia yellow? Like, its color, it never had the color on its banner yellow, and it just looked real ugly. But it was the only game of its kind. It took place in an era barely any games cover, and you could guide and industrialize your nation through the Victorian era. The population system was revolutionary. It wasn't perfect, considering that your artisans would make whatever your nation was lacking, so you could have artisans making tanks out of fucking bullshit, depending on your country's situation. So, it was a little goofy and unrealistic, but Victoria 3 looks better in every way. And I don't get people being kind of hesitant or not really excited about it. If you look at the Victoria 3 gameplay, it has way more features than Victoria 2 ever had. This doesn't seem like a Crusader Kings 2 to 3 type of jump, where there was one step forward, two steps back due to the insane amount of DLC for Crusader Kings 2. That the current Crusader Kings 3 gameplay loop just seems a bit empty compared to Crusader Kings 2. Victoria 2 was always the redheaded stepchild of the Paradox family, and now it's finally getting the attention it deserves. Most of the discourse I've seen of people who aren't happy about the game is the warfare system. Now, back when this game was first announced on the Paradox subreddit, there was a theory that came out that people called the Crackpot Theory, that they believed that warfare wouldn't be controlled directly by the player and instead just influenced, but you're not in charge. When I read that, I was thinking, yeah, I could see that. That seems possible. And I wouldn't even mind due to how tedious the combat was in Victoria 2. Not to mention how it could help the AI and decrease the amount of cheese possible by players. So when it came out that the Crackpot Theory was correct, I was pleasantly surprised. I figured fan feedback would be a bit negative just because people were kind of asking for like a Hoi 4 Lite type of system. But honestly, a lot of people aren't happy when Paradox comes out with a new game and people want certain systems. And then also, not to mention the fact that this is a Paradox game and they're definitely going to expand on the war system. Like, wait for the Warfare DLC to come out, and I think it's going to be a stellar war system. But even then, just based off the gameplay, the current Warfare system seems more than adequate, and I think it'll be enjoyable on release. Especially because you're able to augment your soldiers and choose what types you want, and the general still affect things. So I think it'll be a fine Warfare system on release. I think the economy and population system in Victoria 3 seems amazing. I love how the populations form internal groups, which basically functions as political parties that show what type of ideology your citizens are supporting and want. And it's up to you whether you want to give in to their reforms or suppress them. But then you also have to watch out for revolutions if you don't give the citizens what they want after a while. In this era, citizens are willing to really fight for what they believe in, and many revolutions happen during this time period. The main gameplay loop of this game is economy and population management, and everything else kind of springs from the fact that you need a good economy to expand. You need happy citizens, or at least a happy elite ruling class, to ensure your population doesn't get uppity and ruin your plans for world conquest or economic conquest. I think the amount of laws and government types seem really cool, and I think they have a good mix of everything. So you can have your communist utopia, you can have a laissez-faire capitalist society, or even an anarchist rule, which I think is really cool. I mean, I think my first playthrough might try to have like a Ancapistan type of Texas, And it also seems like playing tall will be really fun. I mean, I think some Paradox games really struggle with making playing tall fun. Like Crusader Kings 3 and EU4, playing tall just kind of bores me to tears. I mean, Hoi 4 isn't made to be played tall at all, so I think this game will really allow you to play tall and have fun, because it seems like the system is kind of made for you to play tall in the first place. You don't have to constantly expand. I think the new diplomacy options and settings are a complete overhaul from Victoria 2. There are no more caucus bellies, you just need to worry about your infamy level, which is a lot more realistic considering, you know, Great Britain took a lot of land and started a lot of wars, and people weren't able to do anything because they had the strongest navy and the strongest army, you know. They didn't need a reason to take land, they took it because they were the strongest, and that's how things just used to work. I mean, looking at Ukraine and Russia, I guess sometimes things still work like that. You can also demand things with diplomacy and not even resort to warfare, which I think, like, thank God. Like, why can I not just demand land from a small-ass African nation if I'm the strongest country on the planet? I feel like a lot of countries are liable to just give in instead of resorting to warfare with the strongest nation on Earth. You can also demand port access and other kind of unique things that countries had and wanted during this time period. You can also involve other nations in your diplomatic plays by promising them land if they'll back you up. So I think it makes it a lot more dynamic. So moving on to things I'm maybe not as excited about. Based off initial impressions, I'm not excited about the map. I think the colors are really bright and it looks really bland and weird looking compared to every other Paradox game when you scroll out. And I was kind of thinking about why, and I think the reason is, in every other game, you can still see cities or geography when you scroll out, as opposed to Victoria 3, where you don't see any geography or major cities. It just seems weird when you scroll out and only see the country's outline in bright colors. It makes it seem really cartoonish. But I mean, there's definitely going to be mods for that. And then, I mean, speaking of mods, another point of contention I have with the game is the fact that you don't need to have Iron Man mode on or no mods active to earn achievements. And I mean, this is really just based on personal opinion. I always had fun in getting Paradox achievements that were hard to get. And you felt like, it sounds silly to say you felt accomplished, but you're like, hell yeah, only 2% of people unlocked that achievement and I got it? Yes, sir. But now, you know, you can just, there's going to be a mod you can download and you're going to get every achievement in the game. It's really not a big issue or an issue at all, but I really hope other Paradox games don't start doing this. So overall, I'm super fucking hyped. You know, I've already pre-ordered and I am ready to be disappointed by Paradox. But I mean, I know do their DLC model, even if I'm unhappy. After a while, I know a few good DLCs will bring this game to its full potential. Like Hoi 4, I mean, I don't know if you guys remember that game on release. I thought it was fun. But my god, Vanilla Hoi 4 is so bland and terrible compared to what current Hoi 4 looks like due to all the new DLC. Like, you guys remember National Unity? What the hell was going on there? Like, vanilla Paradox games are just so different compared to what they become due to the good DLC. And whether you love or hate that model, I mean, that's what Victoria 3 is going to look like. So that's all I have to say on Victoria 3. If you're still watching, thank you. A like and subscribe would mean a lot. And if you have any video ideas or suggestions to make the channel like better, feel free to let me know. This has been Conduit Gaming signing off.